Hello there, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm absolutely delighted to have you join our little community. Today's episode is going to be quite different from our usual content. I've had countless requests from you brilliant lot asking about my daily routine, so I thought it was high time I shared exactly how I structure my days. Now, I must say, I'm not claiming this routine is perfect or that it'll work for everyone. We're all wonderfully different, aren't we? But perhaps there's something in here that might inspire you or give you ideas for your own daily rhythm. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into the nitty-gritty of how I spend my 24 hours.
Right then, let's start at the beginning. My mornings. I'm naturally an early bird, which I know isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it absolutely works for me. My alarm goes off at 5:30 every morning, including weekends. I know, some of you are probably thinking I'm completely balmy, but hear me out. The first thing I do, and this might sound odd, is I don't immediately reach for my phone. I've noticed that when I start scrolling through notifications first thing, it sets a rather frantic tone for the entire day. Instead, I take a few deep breaths whilst still lying in bed, just to centre myself and set an intention for the day ahead. After that brief moment of mindfulness, I head straight to the kitchen to put the kettle on. There's something absolutely magical about that first cup of tea in the morning, isn't there? Whilst it's brewing, I open all the curtains in the house. Natural light is so important for regulating our circadian rhythms, and I find it instantly lifts my mood. Once I've had my first few sips of tea, proper builder's brew, mind you, I spend about 20 minutes writing in my journal. This isn't anything fancy or Instagram-worthy, it's just 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing. Sometimes it's mundane thoughts about what I need to accomplish that day. Other times it's deeper reflections or working through problems. The key is just getting thoughts out of my head and onto paper.
By 6:15, I'm ready for my morning movement. I wouldn't call it a proper workout, that comes later. This is more about gentle stretching and getting my body moving after 8 hours of sleep. I've got a lovely little routine of stretches that takes about 15 minutes. Nothing too strenuous, just enough to wake up my muscles and joints. After my stretching session, it's time for a proper shower. I'm one of those people who absolutely must shower in the morning to feel human. There's something about that fresh start that I simply can't do without. Whilst I'm getting ready, I listen to either a podcast or some uplifting music. I find it sets a positive tone for the day. Breakfast is quite important to me. I'm not one for rushing out the door with a piece of toast hanging from my mouth. I sit down properly and eat mindfully. Usually, it's something simple but nourishing. Perhaps porridge with fresh fruit, or eggs on sourdough toast. I've found that taking time to eat breakfast properly helps me make better food choices throughout the day. By 8 o'clock, I'm ready to tackle my workday. Now, I'm fortunate enough to work from home most days, which I know isn't possible for everyone. But even when I was commuting to an office, I tried to maintain similar principles. The first hour of my workday is what I call my deep work time. This is when my mind is freshest, so I tackle the most challenging or creative tasks. I switch my phone to aeroplane mode and close all unnecessary browser tabs. It's amazing how much you can accomplish when you're not constantly being pinged by notifications. I'm a firm believer in the Pomodoro technique, though I've adapted it slightly to suit my preferences. Instead of 25-minute intervals, I work in 45-minute blocks, followed by 15-minute breaks. During those breaks, I might make another cup of tea, do a few stretches, or step outside for a breath of fresh air if the weather's decent. Around 10:30, I have what I call my admin block. This is when I tackle emails, return phone calls, and handle all those necessary but less creative tasks. I find that if I leave emails until later in the day, they tend to pile up and become overwhelming. Lunch is sacred time for me. I don't eat at my desk and I don't work through lunch. I properly step away from my workspace, prepare something fresh and healthy, and eat it either in my garden, if it's nice, or at my kitchen table. This break in the middle of the day is crucial for maintaining energy and focus for the afternoon. After lunch, I have a brief 10-minute walk outside, regardless of the weather. Even if it's chucking it down with rain, I'll pop on my waterproofs and have a quick stroll around the block. This little ritual helps me transition from morning mode to afternoon productivity. My afternoon work block typically runs from 1:30 until about 4:00. This is when I handle meetings, collaborative work, and tasks that require more social interaction. I find my energy for dealing with people is better in the afternoon than first thing in the morning. Around 4:00, I have what I call my creative hour. This might involve working on personal projects, brainstorming ideas for future content, or learning something new. It's not always directly productive in a traditional sense, but I find it keeps my mind sharp and feeds my soul.
My official workday ends at 5:00 sharp. This boundary is crucial for me, especially working from home, where the lines between personal and professional time can easily blur. I have a little ritual of shutting down my computer, tidying my workspace, and symbolically leaving work. Early evening is my time for proper exercise. I alternate between different activities throughout the week. Sometimes it's a run if the weather's cooperating. Other days it might be a yoga session or a workout video in my lounge. The key is consistency rather than intensity. I'm not training for the Olympics. I'm just keeping my body healthy and managing stress. After exercise, it's time for dinner preparation. I genuinely enjoy cooking, and I find it quite therapeutic after a day of mental work. I try to cook from scratch most evenings. Nothing too elaborate, but proper wholesome food. There's something satisfying about creating something nourishing with your hands. Dinner is eaten without distractions. No television, no phones, just mindful eating. If I'm dining alone, I might listen to classical music or simply enjoy the quiet. If I have company, it's a time for proper conversation and connection.
After dinner and washing up, I have what I call my transition time. This is about an hour where I gradually shift from the active part of my day to preparing for rest. I might read a book, listen to a podcast, or work on a hobby like knitting or sketching. The key is that it's something calm and screen-free. Around 8:30, I start my evening routine. This begins with preparing everything I need for the next morning, laying out clothes, preparing my breakfast ingredients, and checking my schedule. I find this small investment of time in the evening saves stress and decision-making energy the following day. I also spend a few minutes tidying up common areas of my home. Nothing major, just putting things back in their proper places. There's something about waking up to a tidy space that starts the day on the right foot. By 9:00, I'm officially in wind-down mode. All screens are put away. No phones, laptops, or television. I might have a warm bath with some lovely essential oils, or simply wash my face and brush my teeth mindfully. The last part of my evening routine is reading in bed. I keep physical books on my bedside table specifically for this purpose. Usually it's fiction or something light-hearted. I find that reading helps quiet my mind and naturally makes me drowsy. Lights are out by 10:30, which gives me a solid 7 hours of sleep before that 5:30 alarm. I know 7 hours might not sound like much, but it's the amount that works for my body, and the consistency is key.
Now, I should mention that weekends are slightly different. I still wake up at the same time. Consistency with sleep is crucial for me, but the structure is more relaxed. I might spend longer with my morning tea and journal, take a longer walk, or have a more leisurely breakfast. Weekend afternoons are often for social activities, household tasks that I don't get to during the week, or simply pottering about. I try to maintain some structure whilst also allowing for spontaneity. One thing I want to emphasize is that this routine has evolved over several years. It wasn't always like this, and it continues to change as my life circumstances shift. The key is finding what works for you and being willing to adapt. There are absolutely days when life gets in the way. Perhaps I have an early meeting that disrupts my morning routine, or social plans that push my bedtime later. That's perfectly normal and human. The routine serves me. I don't become a slave to it. I also vary certain elements seasonally. In winter, when daylight is precious, I might adjust my exercise timing to catch whatever sun is available. In summer, I often eat dinner later and extend my evening outdoor time. The most important thing I've learned about daily routines is that they're not about perfection or rigidity. They're about creating a framework that supports your well-being and helps you show up as your best self. Some elements of my routine might sound appealing to you. Others might seem completely wrong for your lifestyle, and that's absolutely fine. The magic is in the consistency of small, positive actions compounded over time. Whether it's that morning cup of tea, the evening walk, or the screen-free bedtime routine, these small rituals become the foundation for everything else. I hope sharing my daily routine has given you some inspiration or ideas for your own life. Remember, the best routine is the one you can actually stick to, not the one that looks perfect on paper. Thank you so much for listening, and I'd love to hear about your own daily routines in the comments below. What works for you? What challenges do you face in creating consistency? Let's continue this conversation. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next episode.